Hello, it's Arno Klaasen again here from Lifewise, and we're still busy with the subject of congregation life and trying to sort it out and get our minds together into a new thinking, maybe a new dimension, a new perspective on the whole thing, so that we can maybe find some new realities in our own lives. In this fourth session, we talk about the strategy for your house. This is not a long session because it's actually more homework than anything else. But we've already talked in the previous session about the home and the house. We've said that we're living in a home that is a physical place, but then we've got people in the home that is the family, the father is the home leader or the home priest. And not everyone in the home is a home leader, but everyone in the home, especially from the age of 13 years and older, do have a house. It is all the relationship of that person that is his personal responsibility. And all people's houses will differ because we have different relationships with each other. We're taking responsibility for different people. But as me and my wife, who especially our house will overlap a lot, but she will have relationship with women that I do not have necessarily a relationship myself. I know them, get in contact, but I'm not responsible. I'm not in a relationship with them. And me, myself, I'm in a relationship with people that she are not in a relationship with. So the question is now that we need to define these people. But before we do it, I just want to describe to you a thing that's very important that we need to understand that's part of this whole, let's say, new paradigm of thinking about congregation life. In society, we find three units or three wombs where life is born and birthed, if you can say it like that. Remember what we said, that congregation life is about people, it's about society, it's about relationships, and we need to find out how this thing is working. Because if we don't know how this relational infrastructure is working, we will end up in a place where we will institutionalize all these relationships, where we will just say, listen man, we can't figure it out, we don't bother about it, so let's just start a structure that this is this and this, and we put names in there and that's it, and there we go. We need to figure out this whole society thing, community thing, family thing, relationship thing, how things are working. And we've said very important that people join the kingdom by volunteering personally on their own. That's a very important point. We've said that people bring 7 relationships with them. That's also very important. And that 7 relationships more or less are that person's house. And you are responsible yourself for your 7 relationships. Everything starts there. Everything is produced there. We cannot create something further on to sort of fix that one. We must fix it where it starts and where it is. And when we come to this let's say discernment that there's 3 places, we understand that the first place of life is the individual. The second place where we find life, or the second womb, is the marriage. Because the marriage is the place where there is not only even physical births and people are birthed there, it is really the place where life is birthed, it is nurtured, it is captured, it is looked after, it is maintained, it is grown, it is matured, and everything you can say about it. In terms of marriage and home and family and all these things, it is really the place where one people come together. There's a family, and where we have a greater dimension of just one person. One person joined the Father himself. Yes, he's got 7 relationships, but then we have people that come together, a family of 4, 5, 6, whatever. Now we have a bigger dimension. We have a family, we have a home. And we have different houses in this home. That makes it even more, not so complicated, but more interesting in the process. And now we have even one house that can link on with another house, one home that can link with another home. Me linking on with another house priest and get to know them. We meet each other, we speak into each other's lives. We start to do things together as different homes, as different houses. We start to do projects together. So even this individual thing flows into a bigger thing, the house, the family, but even this flows into another bigger thing that's called actually congregation. And that's the important part. Congregation is the third place in society where life is born, where we find life. So as different homes, we can flow together, we can have things together. And what all these things might be, can be anything as long as it serves the relationships and the people inside. It can be a holiday, it can be a camp, it can be a sleepover, it can be visiting each other, it can be singing together, worshiping together. I don't mind whatever the thing may be, because it is not about the thing. The thing is never the real thing. The thing is only a thing. The real thing always remains these individual with his 7 relationships, becoming a family with more relationships, with a home, with a house, and a house joining another house and joining another house. It grows into something bigger, projects that they do get together, maybe for a year, for 2, doing mission together, helping each other, raising each other's children, teaching each other's children different skills, helping your someone else with his child, of his house, his home, his geezer, his children with math. I don't mind what it is. It is everything comes out of this relationships that flows together. Because in these 3 units, we have actually the birth of life. It is the individual, the marriage, and the congregation. The marriage represents the home or the house in principle. So we need to understand this and think in terms of this. And we must understand that what we have maybe invented as church with lots of outward structures is in essence not wrong, but it is not a place where we find the birth of life. It is things that we do where we can find life, because the people that attends it brings the life there. And if lots of people attend something, it brings life there. But the fact that we have, say, a service every Sunday doesn't say it's necessarily life. It's necessarily a flow of life. Because the flow of life is only determined by the flow of life in people's lives, in marriages' lives, and when it comes together in a bigger sense. So understand that we are not against things, but we must always come back to the fact that it is about people that stirred in their hearts, that receive life from Christ, that connect with another heart, that flow in a process of life. And we don't necessarily need any structure, outside structure, to have this flow of life, because the more outside structure we have, the more we have a hindrance of this flow. The more we have to sit people in pews, the more people need to be passive and listen, and there's a time to sit in a chair and listen. That's also not wrong, but we mostly want people to function in these relationships, to go forward and to be the people that they are, to develop in their unique gifts, their unique initiatives that's in their heart, so that they can eventually do what is in their heart, although it's maybe something that I'm not passionate about myself. But we must allow people in a family setup that they can grow in what they are, what they're passionate about, enable them, help them, so that they can manifest what is in their heart. So eventually now you need to take your papers and your course paper and start to fill in for yourself, who are these people that is part of your house, who are they by name, and what is your responsibility towards them. You can even define for yourself, what type of relationship you are in with this person. How do you want to relate with this person, and why you are in this relationship, as we've already said. It is very important that we need to have clarity about these things. It is because we do not have clarity about relationship that lots of other things are relationship for us. We just meet a person and we just talk for a few minutes and we say we have a relationship. That's not necessarily a relationship. We must understand the 5 phases of relationship that we have in the relationship-wise course to understand what is relationship. Most tragedy is that most people, even in marriage, doesn't go to phase 2 in relationship. 87% of people never go through phase 2. They stop there. They never go to 3, 4, and 5. Whatever it may be, you can listen to that separately. Because people do not understand it. They think that being at phase 2 is a very good relationship, and it's actually not even halfway. what relationship is all about. And in thinking about these people and who's these names and what type of relationship, we can think about, the strategy that we want in this relationship will according to be what the purpose of this relationship is all about. Is it how often must we see each other? What is the time that we need for it? What is the time span? Is it a month, 3 months, year type of relationship? What is the locality of the relationship? I mean, are we going to sit here, there, where we're going to see each other? Are we in the same house, or are we going to see each other at work? What's the locality? What are our mutual expectations, outcomes, and goals of this relationship? So that we can know what each one is in, let's say, in this relationship. What are our mutual responsibilities in this relationship? What is expected from me? Because people go into relationships and they expect something that it doesn't happen, and then they live in disappointment because I expected it, it never came. But if you communicated it, do the other people know that this is what you really are in this thing? And so eventually you need to define for yourself, what is this type of relationship? Is it a family relationship, a work relationship? Is it a mentor relationship, a teaching, a coaching, a discipleship relationship, a fathering relationship, although discipleship is in all of them? So what is this relationship all about? So this is more or less very quickly, as we said now, what is the strategy for all these relationships that I must think about in my life? Because the way you're doing this determines the heart of your congregation life. We've said that congregation life is not built, I become a Christian, then I look for a church. Now I join the church, then I hear there is 3-5 ministries that you can join, and how you can keep busy and you can attend these 3-4 classes. No, we build congregation life from the bottom. We start with you. We don't start with looking for something that you can attend. We start with you. Number one, you need to define your relationships. You need to take responsibility for it. You need to stand up. You need to educate yourself. Yes, of course, there's a fivefold ministry that can help you, and friends and family and fathers and mentors and brothers and sisters and whatever you may call it. There's a dynamic of a relational network structure that's there to help you. But the focus is upon you. If you as the basic unit doesn't grow, then you will find that the individual will go into a marriage, and then the marriage is a problem. Why? Because marriage is never a problem. It's only the two people in the marriage that is a problem. You see, then we as marriages, we attend the congregation things, and then the congregation doesn't want to work. Then we say it's the marriage. No, it's not the marriage, it's the individuals. Everything starts with individual responsibility, individual growth, individual relationships. Most people get to know the Lord through an individual relationship with a friend. The power of the congregation life lies in the fact that we've got lots of believers that can go out, that can do the thing, that can sort out their lives. The believers are not there to take care of and to put into chairs and to keep them busy and to find something for them. No, they need to find it themselves. They've already got the relationships and all the responsibilities. As for me as a discipler, I need to facilitate this person into his relationships and to take up the responsibilities and to ask some maybe tough questions so that this person can activate himself and take up his responsibilities. Because in essence, if every person in society has accepted the Lord and sorted out these 7 relationships, then the whole of society is sorted out. Yes, we need more infrastructure in terms of relationships for that. We need marriages, we need fathers, we need maybe courses or whatever. That's not a problem. But if we start to build from the top, we maybe attend a nice big church and we feel happy that things are in line. But when coming home, we find out things are not in line. Because as a family, we've just attended church, we've listened to a good sermon, and with an on-fire pastor, if you can say it like that. But at home, nothing is happening. Because as the house leader, I don't take up my responsibility. My spouse maybe are not taking up her responsibility. The children are running wild, and we're not forming a community in the house where we anchor it, so that this house can become a point of production of life, that we can export to another person, to another house, to another community, because this is the place where we anchor. The life is in the house. The places of production of life is the individual, the marriage, and the congregation. And we need to realize it, of whom the most important starting point is the individual. But if it comes to really, let's say, initiatives and community creativity, it is the marriage that is the real focus point. Then it flows into congregation, where people come together and they have different projects of things they do for the Lord that stirs life in society. But again, everything is fueled from the individual into the marriage, into congregation at the end of the day. Thank you very much.